Alrighty, y'all. How's it going? I'm like so gun shy about this mic and whether or not I'm gonna blow it out and blow your eardrums out. So I'm just making sure that we're good from the get-go. So what did everyone think? Because I'll be honest with you, take the finish out of it. I think that was the best all around truck race at Atlanta since we got the new reconfiguration, personally. It started off pretty, I would say, dull and slow in the first stage, but after that, it really kicked up, really got better. And I really thought that there was some pretty good racing in general. So in the chat, I want you to give me your rating out of 10. I already see a lot of 8.5s, 9s, some 6s, 7s. Generally in that 6 to 8 range is what you're looking at. You kind of have to grade in a curve a little bit with the truck series just because it is such a different kind of racing than any of the other ones. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'd probably give it for an 8. Or I'd probably give it an 8 for what we saw and just the level of competition up front. This was a Kyle Busch win. Kyle Busch did win the Freight 208, one of the best names of any races all year, of the races all year. But I'll be honest, man, it was not easy. This was not Kyle Busch just whipping the field. This was not Kyle Busch just, running off and winning, and everybody else is running for second. I kept track over the last 20 or so laps, and there were probably 4 or 5 different drivers that challenged Busch in this race. The biggest one at the end being Stuart Friesen, who was so close. But Busch, being the experienced veteran he is, timed it perfectly. But this race, the Freight 208, was 135 laps, 4 cautions for 28 laps total. We did get a red flag in there. So the official race time, because they don't count red flag time, the official race time is 1 hour, 46 minutes, 50 seconds. That's the quickest truck race since the reconfiguration at Atlanta. And thank you for that super chat. We will read the super chats after we get through the race itself, but I appreciate it a ton. 19 lead changes on the day, so pretty competitive truck race, all things considered. And the margin of victory is 17 100ths of a second, so 0.017. At least that's what NASCAR's leaderboard has on their end. A damn near tie also for third. So let's go through the finishing order, and then we'll put the results on the bottom after that. Kyle Busch with the victory in this race. After that, we have Stuart Friesen, of course. Noah Coleman brings up the 12th closest truck finish, which is amazing. All things considered, I am surprised. I'm genuinely surprised it was the truck race, because the truck races here since the reconfiguration, in my opinion, have been incredibly dull in all aspects. And this was a marked increase over what we had beforehand. So thank you, by the way, Noah, for letting us know in the chat that one, because I immediately muted this. And another point here, this race showed the difference of youth versus experience, especially with the top two. I mean, Kyle Busch was facing the youth for the most part today, but Stuart Friesen coming up there played a very smart race, just a skosh off, as DW used to say. Ankrum in third over Bailey Curry. And then in the 5th spot, we got Chandler Smith, who is, pretty competitive. I would say probably outside of Friesen, the most competitive one in the last run to Kyle Busch. You got Honeycutt in 6th. 7th is Rhodes, then Majeski, Garcia, and Enfinger, the top 10. Ruggiero in 11th. Another good run for him. McDowell in 12th. I want to say this part about Gio. I think when he gets the experience behind him, he's going to be the dominant guy at super speedways. I don't see him getting moved up next year. I think he needs at least another year or two of experience with the trucks. But he's looking mighty impressive at these super speedways, and I want to see how he does when they end up going to Vegas in a couple weeks. But all things considered, man, this is a very, very good start for him. And I guarantee you he's earned a lot of respect doing so. But again, Michael McDowell in 12th, Then Mills in the 13th spot, Fenhouse in the 14th position, Tanner Gray 15th, 16th is Hemrick. Dawson Sutton with a 17th place finish. Rayum, Boyd, and Riggs finish out the top 20. Riggs a lap down. Had some issues early on, was never able to recover. It was just sort of like piling on at one point with him, unfortunately. It sucks, but I think he's going to be pretty competitive once we get to non-super speedway, non-drafting tracks. So I'm not worried whatsoever about Lane Riggs. I think he'll be A-okay. Just another poor start to the season. Wood, 2 laps down in 21st. Then Crafton, 22nd, 2 down as well. Corey Heim, issues, never was able to recover. Raced up with the leaders, but finished 3 laps down in 23rd. Our thumbnail driver, Tony Breidinger. I'll be honest, I only put her truck on there because it looked really good. I thought the scheme actually looked pretty good. Not that anyone would see it because she was running in the back all day. Finishes 24th, 3 laps down, mostly off of speed. Then Mosak, 4 laps down, last one on the racetrack. After that, Frankie Muniz in 26th. We'll talk about that in a moment. 27th for Perez, Carroll, Caruth, and Sawalich the top 30. Then Bird 31st. And after that, we've got, again, one of the best names to say, most fun names to say, Keith McGee finishes 32nd and last. We're going to put those on the bottom here. So thank you guys for your patience through my probably poor reading skills. Yeah, I mean, it was a rough day for some, better for others. But all in all, I mean, looking through the field at some of the guys that had some pretty good runs. Bailey Curry working up there with Honeycutt. I think those two going to be under the radar guys this year. I think Honeycutt makes the playoffs for the trucks. I really think that he has the ability, the at least high end ability to do so. It's a matter of mitigating the low end stuff. But a great run for him is going to set him off well into this new part of the season. Fenhouse, 14th, does not say how well he was running during this race. Tony Breidinger, I've seen a lot of you guys talking about her. Non-existent. It's amazing that she finished on the lead or on the same lap as Corey Heim after all of that. I get that he didn't cross the line first. A lot of people are very much still in Parker's corner when it comes to the win, but Corey Heim with the win, he'll be fine. It's so early in the season. You can't really judge too much one way or another, just more how you set yourself up after these two races. Same thing goes for Xfinity later tonight, which we'll be live for, and Cup tomorrow, which we'll also be live for. Frankie Muniz, 26th. I mean, does not show how well he was running in the middle of the race, battling for a top 10 position. Ultimately, gets together with the 81 a little bit. The 81 drifted or put himself in the hole on the top. But at the same time, I know a lot of people want Frankie to do really well and don't want to, dog on him at all. And he's the good guy and all of that. Malcolm in the middle. He did drift up a little bit, and even his spotter and crew chief did say that, and they put some of the blame on him as well, and a bit of frustration. Again, inexperience, and that's the name of the game with the Truck Series. Just inexperience. Another bad run just because he's running up front, but whether it was because there was oil on the racetrack or a flat tire, like they said before, Raja Caruth finishing 29th. That's not a great start to the year. But let's see. Did I put the wrong one? Yeah, I did. Thank you. Appreciate it. I don't know why I put Mosak there. Thank you. All right, we'll put the correct results back up there. Appreciate it. But all things considered, let's kind of go through it. Stage 1, Mosak got the pole, led until he was passed on the last lap by Wood, who won the stage. Nothing happened in stage 1. I mean, they ran single file literally the whole time, and I was so worried we were just going to see the same race we saw last year where they run single file, a few people wreck here and there, and it's all in all boring race. I personally thought it was a pretty fun race. I think it's probably going to be better than the Xfinity race, but I will say handling has something to do with it a little bit because, looking at this Atlanta track, and then it was put on Twitter and Reddit and Facebook and all over the place yesterday, you could see it visually on the screen. This track is wearing down fast, incredibly fast, which if you remember the old Atlanta surface, which was repaved in the late 90s, by the early 2000s, this track looked like it was 15 years old, tire wear wise. I'm really interested in what the Xfinity cars do tonight, and especially what the Cup cars do tomorrow, because, there's only so long I think that you can have this track be the way it is, be kind of a super speedway like racetrack. Until the pack starts getting spread out more and more. And then it's up to NASCAR. What do you want to do? You want to keep slowing down to keep the pack together? Do you want to let them roam free, let them run as they are, and they'll be in little packs, stuff like that? I think this track, the future of it to me is very, very interesting. All things considered. I know I kind of went off on a side tangent there, but it's something to watch for this next race and the one after. You could see the trucks just moving up and down all over the backstretch in the corners. Of course, wouldn't be a stream of mine if there wasn't an ambulance going by. I'm shocked. I know. Come on, go. Jesus, they're going slow. It's a roundabout right near my place, and they're going slow, man. Personally, I'm really interested in the next couple of years to see. I would love to see at least one race under this current configuration where they just take the plates as they were. I know they're not plates or tapered spacers, but for tradition's sake, plates off and let them all roll. But after today, I mean, if this is what's to come this weekend, it was pretty good racing from stage 2 on. I talked about earlier, Lane Riggs, he had no power under the stage yellow. He also went under the yellow line at the end of stage 1, which cost him a second place finish in the stage. That would go to Enfinger, then Mosek, Busch, Heim, Friesen, Ankrum, Hemrick, Caruth, and McDowell. But from this point on, lap 38 on, it was on. I mean, it was just constant racing up front. The 11 and the 7 are up front on the restart. And then you got Majeski going past Heim, who had taken the lead. He had taken the lead more because he had stayed out under the caution. Might have had some fuel issues and as well as power issues. I don't know. Fox really wasn't all that much on it, because I'd look on social media and see completely different reporting to what was actually happening on the broadcast. You did have some flat tires here and there, Mosek and Busch going back and forth, with Busch winning the stage. But I mean, again, it was very competitive. And at that point, you're kind of thinking, okay, if they're able to make these moves, the good handling cars are able to move their way up. The bad handling cars can't stay up there for very long. It looks gridlocked, but it's not, because they're able to make different moves with the side drafting, with pushes, stuff like that. I honestly really, really fun to watch the racing up front in stage 2. Of course, like I said, Busch won over Majeski, Enfinger, McDowell, Honeycutt, Wood, Mozak, Friesen, Chandler Smith, and Hemrick. A lot of people wishing Daniel Hemrick would have won this race to see the backflip. I kind of almost want to leave a poll on this, because Reverend Regime Hall Stewart puts in the chat, Atlanta is a top 5 track in NASCAR. I kind of want to put a different spin on it, but let's see. I'm gonna put a poll up. Where would you rank Atlanta? Is it the best track? Is it top 5, top 10, or are you an outlier? A lot of people, might say, is it overrated? And not up there. I'm going to put the poll up right now. So let me know what you think. But that, I think right now, and it's weird for me to say, because I'm still not a fan of them changing a really good intermediate track to a plate track. I hope this isn't a trend of things to come. But I will say for sure, I think it's the best super speedway right now across, especially the Cup Series. But if the Truck Series races like this, if Xfinity's a bit better, I would say almost across the board, I would say it's the best. Definitely in Cup, it's the best of the super speedways. I'll put it top. Let's see, because I put Darlington for sure over it. Kansas right now is definitely better, I think, personally. I think Charlotte is. I know one bad race has soured a lot of people. It's an actually pretty good question, all things considered, to ask. I mean, because some of the other ones that I'm excited about, we haven't seen racing at just yet. Uh, I think I'd put it above Michigan right now, personally, as much as I think Michigan's really improved. I'm like looking down the list of tracks right now and seeing what we got. And I might just outright say I think it's top 5. And it's crazy for me to say. I know. But hey, for anyone who says I don't go back on my takes or I don't admit I'm wrong, I'm admitting this time, man. Um, I like Mexico's the best. Let's see. Let's see. So far, we got about 51% saying it's top 5, about 35% saying top 10, about around 10% saying overrated, and then about 6% of you saying best track. Um, and snap back to reality. I think I actually agree with you. With the next gen, Auto Club would be top 5. I think it would probably be, I won't say the best because I think Kansas is the best track in NASCAR right now, personally. And that's watching it on TV and in person. It's a can't miss event. Darlington up there, but I think Auto Club would be right up there with Atlanta, Darlington, all of them. Let's see. Do you think Chicago's up there? I'd put Chicago probably top. I don't know if I put it'd be borderline top 10 because I think that the storylines of Chicago kind of overrated. I think Chicagoland would be top 5. And with this being the last year of their deal, man. When it comes to the city, just saying. But the final stage, I mean, this is where stuff just kind of goes nuts. We get it back going on lap 68, and it's a back and forth Raja and Hemrick up there. McDowell kind of got loose in the pack. There was, again, handling was a big issue today, which I really appreciate. I know it's probably really weird for people outside of the broadcast talk. It's probably really weird for people to come in and hear me be like really positive about a lot of stuff, but I've not been actually that down on too much so far this year. Granted, we're only, if you include the duels and the clash, we're only like 7 races in of like 90 some races. There's plenty of racing to go. But all things considered, man, I've actually been relatively pleased outside of the controversies and broadcasts towards the racing to start the year comparatively to others. Again, there's stuff we can definitely talk about. It's not perfect by any means. But the final stage here, I mean, for the trucks, this might be a top 3 truck race of the year. Very early still. Plenty could beat it. I hope plenty beat it. But up front, it was 62 to go where a big crash happened. 71 of Raja goes around into the pack, collects the 119, 77, 18, 5-car wreck, red flags out. Looks like the 90 from reports put down oil on the racetrack. It was not a flat tire for Carruth from the sound of it. And that's why we had the red flag, oil all around the racetrack. At the same time, I believe this was when, if I have my notes right, I think this is when Bird also hit the wall really hard and got knocked out of the race. Fox, I don't know if they really showed it or at all. I don't remember him showing it. Typical FS1 stuff. But the red flag goes out. And this is where like the funniest moment of the race comes when they're blowing the kitty litter down the track and they just blow it right on every single truck remaining in the field and just set them in a dust storm. I thought that was pretty funny, all things. That's okay. So they didn't show. I'm not surprised. It's what I've come to expect at this point, is what it is. I'm kind of with Braden here too. I'm happy. Like I can't say I'm like happy. Like it's Kyle Busch winning in the Truck Series. Like that's the expectation. But good for Kyle. Good for Kyle fans. I got to see the bow. At least I can see it on Saturdays. Totally just going to poke the bear on that one. But it would be cool seeing redemption for Friesen. I agree. I actually kind of really wanted to see Friesen win. I'm not upset that Busch won by any means. If it were 15, 20 years ago, I'd be upset, but I'm not going to let something that happened that long ago, NASCAR wise, define stuff for me too much anymore. I want to see Kyle actually succeed. I think a good Kyle Busch is good for the sport. I get a lot of old time fans might not like that, but it is true. I think. Yeah, I mean, that's another one. Cool, the amount of cheers compared to like 2015, 2010. Like Kyle Busch might not be, I don't think Kyle Busch is necessarily like one of the top popular drivers when it comes to all around loved in the sport. There's still a contingent of fans that don't like him, but I think he's like the best anti-hero in the sport right now. So I appreciate the super chat, Alexander. I'll read it once we get through talking these last 50 laps here. Once they got it back going, a little bit more calm. They still were racing at this point. This is when the wreck with Muniz and Mozak happens. No yellow at first until a lap later when Frankie spins it on the apron due to all the damage. Again, we're going to end this poll, by the way. 54% of you say top 5, and that's probably where I lie on it. I'm going to put another poll up. Who's to blame? If I can spell who's right. Let's just put who is to blame. And I'm going to put Muniz, Mozak, or both. Race and deal. I'll even put that in. Let's put that poll up. I personally thought that it was kind of on both of them. Yeah, I get it. The 81 trying to shove it in there 4 wide, trying to make a hole where it might not have been the smartest way to go about it. But at the same time, 33 shuffled up a little bit and really kind of, just made a mistake too. I really think it was both of them. If I had to divvy it up, honestly, I'd say a little more to Mozak just making that kind of move. I know that there's 30 to go. You got to make your way up, but the pack is not exactly, making moves at that point. You can be a little more patient. I still think though the 33 drifting up is you can't defend that too much. You really can't. Yes, it is my fault. Where'd it go? There you go. It is my fault. I did jinx Frankie. I did say out like, look at him. He's 11th. He's battling for a top 10 in the chat. For those who don't know or are new, I have the chat open basically from the end of stage 2 on for people to chill in here and stuff. I think it was just racing, but yes, I did jinx him. I apologize from the bottom of my cold, dead heart. Yes. Damn you, Jert. Not Jarrett, Jert. Those kind of things are going to happen in the truck series, though. That's the caliber of experience and drivers that we have. For a truck race, this was not really terrible in any ways. I like that jinxing in the middle. I like that. I'm gonna save that one for every time I say something nice and then screw them over. We get it back going though with 23 laps left in this race. Pretty even restart between the 7 and the 17. A lot of shuffling, back and forth and back and forth. And this is where we start seeing the musical chairs of guys getting up to the lead. It is musical chairs of guys getting to the lead and Kyle Busch taking it back. And it's just that back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Enfinger comes up and clears Busch, and then he gets crossed over. And then Luke Fenhaus comes up and gets in front of Busch for a minute. And then Busch gets by. And then Chandler Smith challenges and has this crazy save with like 11 laps to go, challenging for the lead, barely losing anything on him. He gets the lead. Then the next lap, Busch gets it. And then Hemrick gets the lead. 6 to go, coming to 5 to go. Busch right back by. And then finally, Friesen makes the move with 2 to go, heading to the white flag. Busch tries to make that crossover again, doesn't have the run to do it. They go side by side, and it's all a matter of who gets the push off the corner and then who gets that last side draft. And unfortunately for Friesen, fortunately for Busch, Busch gets that last side draft because Friesen got that last good push. That gets a 7 by, and Kyle Busch wins the 2025 Freight 208 by 0.017 seconds, 17 hundredths of a second. And as many are saying, yes, Unk still got it. Kyle Busch can barely win a truck race now. I'm kidding. I'm just poking the bear. All in all, though, I'd say an 8 out of 10 race. There's plenty of stuff that could have went wrong. There's plenty of races we've seen. The last 3 we've seen of truck guys at this configuration of Atlanta, and it's been way worse beforehand. So I'm pretty happy, all things considered, with it. Could have been much worse of a game. And you know what? I get it. Kyle Busch wins. It's probably going to sour it for some people seeing a Leach come down there and take a win away from these guys. But they put it to him. And that's, I think, the best that you can, That's the best that you can really do with that. I mean, that finish, yeah, was about 2 feet. So, hey, man. They've said they were trying to it was funny. They were trying to push that, like, narrative, like, Kyle Busch won today, he could win tomorrow. And then, like, they ask him about it, and he goes, "No, no. I mean, they're kind of more alike, but, they're a bit more alike than Xfinity, but no, it's not really the same." And I'm just like, never change, Kyle. Never change. Looking at a couple of super chats, end this baby off here. First one from Bobby Blair for the 10 saying, "Bro, the booth showed no emotion or excitement for a photo finish. They acted like Kyle won by 13 seconds instead of inches. Shaking my head, Fox, what a finish." Yeah, I mean, great finish. I'm not surprised though anymore. I'm not surprised when Fox utterly botches just ready-made moments for themselves. Um, I don't mind it from Joey Logano or Brad Keselowski because as much as they've been in the booth before, they don't have the experience. But like again, I'm gonna hammer this down every damn week. We need a better lead announcer. Um, for those that follow IDK player John Ramos, he did better last night with the flu than what we heard today. But yeah. I get it. It wasn't by inches. I get it. Like, okay, we'll be specific. It was by a couple feet. It was still a close ass finish. But hey, it's still fun. We're having fun. Reverend Rashim Hall Stewart for the 2 here says, "Who is the most underrated driver in NASCAR right now?" This will be a good one. What do you guys got in the chat? Most underrated driver in NASCAR right now. I feel like almost by default, like Alex Bowman, you always have to say, because everyone says he needs to lose his ride and he is always a top 10 driver unless he has a broken back. Hocevar, yes. Alessandro's, I think, right. I'm seeing a lot of people. I mean, maybe Chandler Smith. He's somebody who almost was out of the sport. And now he's racing up front in a top tier ride. I know a lot of people might roll their eyes at this that dislike him or his fan base, but I think Chase Elliott's being disrespected a ton right now. Chase Elliott, people act like the dude is completely washed, and he's not. Like he's a top, I'd say he's a top 5 to 7 driver right now on any given week, and I don't know why people are going one way or another. I wouldn't, I'm seeing some say Justin Haley. I wouldn't say Justin Haley because a lot of people have been pushing him kind of the same way like Bubba Wallace or Eric Jones. Like the results aren't showing same way. Honeycutt could definitely be one. I think Honeycutt Truck Series wise is the most overlooked driver for sure. For sure. I really think that he's going to turn some heads this year. And I love that profile pick. Where is it? Right there. That profile pick right there. Absolutely love it. Let's see. Another super chat here from Alexander for the 10 saying, "Any reason why the Fox booth always consists of Joey, Brad, and all the other Penske or Ford drivers during truck and Xfinity races? Why can't more Chevy drivers or Hendrick drivers be in the booth?" Well, I have a feeling, I don't know for sure. So it's kind of just a little theorizing, a NASCAR theory, if you will. But I think that part of it probably is like drivers not wanting to do it per se. I wouldn't put Chase Elliott as somebody who's wanting to go up in the booth. Same with William Byron, just because you're mentioning Hendrick guys or Larson or Bowman. I don't think any of them would really want to be up in the booth. I think a lot of the drivers probably just don't elect to want to do it. Whereas Joey and Brad are very much out there. Joey has a radio show. Brad has always been very vocal and out there in the sport. So that's probably why you see them. Cindric's the same way. He's very outgoing for the most part. And when his personality is allowed to shine, he lets it. Though I will say, William Byron has gotten some rightful amount of flack for his personality, but him taking the Daily Downfords meme of hitting on Sabrina Carpenter, inviting her to a race is awesome. Like, here's to you. I did not recognize your game. But I think a lot of it is a lot of these drivers just don't want to. I think a lot of it too is maybe a lot of the Chevy teams, maybe even some of the Toyota ones are a little more strict on what their drivers can do after, especially if there's something cup wise going on during the day. They probably want to focus on team meetings, things like that. A lot of these drivers now just don't go out there with that stuff. I just got a notification that the Xfinity race is starting in half an hour. Yeah, we need Willie B and Sabrina together. I mean, so some like Riss is a huge, my wife Riss is huge Sabrina Carpenter fan. I mean, listens to all her music. The first song she showed me when we started dating was a Sabrina Carpenter song. That's just, her thing, and more power to her. And then she showed me like her ex-boyfriend that dumped her or cheated on her or something. And I'm just like, she could do better. William Byron's better. Will he be, go for it, man. That would be funny as hell if a meme started that. That'd be funny. I know that Riss is very much now interested in this whole saga, which is funny because a lot of people that aren't NASCAR fans are interested. They're like, who is this guy? Like, why is he inviting her to a race? And then like a lot of NASCAR fans are like, who the hell is this person? I don't know. It's really funny watching the worlds collide. But yeah, all in all, had a lot of fun. We will be live after the Xfinity race, pre-race starting right now. So if it's shown in your area, switch on over to the CW and be sure to watch that. It's probably going to be the Austin Hill show, and it's Jesse Love. It's going to be the RCR show probably. But either way, we'll be live afterwards, cover all of it. You never know what can happen. Can't wait to see you then. So I'll see you in a few hours. I'm going to go and make myself something to eat and let the dog out, and I will see y'all later after the race. So have a good one, y'all.